Could you talk about what your role is here?
8 or 9 years ago, I lived across the street from St. Joseph Residence, and so I came over here to start volunteering when the TCU was down where Sunnyside is.
And what is TCU?
Transitional Care Unit, so it's the rehabilitation unit. About 8 years ago, my mom came here. She broke her hip, and she came here for rehabilitation. I knew that there was a daycare here, and I knew that it was held in the highest respect. It was one of those days that had the big sign that said, "It's Wednesday, come on in and talk to somebody." And so I thought, oh, I'm going to go do that. It just so happened that Marie Hoover, the Intergenerational Learning Center director, was available to come meet with me. And so I met with her that very day. A couple days later, I had the interview. I went to leave, and I was in my car driving down 35th, and she called and said, "We want you. Can you please come back?" That was 2.5 years ago.
What was the position?
For a teacher in the young toddler room.
Oh,
They're so sweet at that age. I mean, they're all sweet at every age, but it's really fun at that age because they're still super snuggly. They still want to climb in your lap and be held and kissed, but they're very curious.
yeah.
It's fun and exhausting. And after 25 years of working with young children, ages 0 to 5, my body basically told me that I had had enough. I was getting sick all the time. I just was exhausted. And so I had started working just part-time at the front desk just to make a little bit of extra money. Then Manuel trained me, and now I work at the front desk.
So you
that's
moved.
kind of my history of the Mount.
So you've been with lots of different areas here.
Mm-hmm. And it was really nice when I worked with the kids. It's the intergenerational. So every week I had 2 visits that I would take a group of kids on. One was up to the 3rd floor south, and the other one was to go to Sunnyside.
What is intergenerational?
The elderly and the very young mixing together and doing activities. And
The old hanging out with the young?
I'll never forget, we had one woman who did not talk. She very, very rarely interacts with anybody. You put a kid in front of her and she focuses right on the kid and her whole face just lights up and she just is talking to these kids. We have a resident here who has no legs and he comes down to the ILC every day and visits with the kids. They love him.
They're not afraid of him?
No. And they ask him, "Where's your legs?" He says, "Well, my grandpa always told me, never play with your belly button because your legs will fall off." And you know what? I played with my belly button. Isn't that terrible? I always tell him, I say, "Oh my gosh, you shouldn't say that."
Oh.
And then he goes, "No, that's not what." And then he tells them the truth. I had a bad infection and it got into my bones and they had to take my legs off. Obviously, the older ones get it. He doesn't say anything about his belly button to the little ones. He just lets them, touch them or stare at them and show them that it's okay. And he was a big, strong, go-getter type of person. He still is the same person. He just can't walk. He's still super funny, cracks jokes all the time. A lot of the people here are like that. I mean, you definitely can see the people who are not happy to have been getting old. But most of the people, they laugh and tell jokes. And there's a couple here. They walk all the time. Mm-hmm. And she is hilarious. She's always just cracking little, under her breath type jokes about her husband. Like, oh, he can wait for me. And, and they're still so in love and they're so cute. They walk all the time.
You were saying most of the elderly people are pretty positive, and then there's always those that don't. What would be the percentage in your just imagination of what it would be?
80-20.
80 happy?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think it is that makes Mount St. Vincent a place where 80% of the people feel their joy de vivre?
It's so family-oriented. Everybody here wants to know the residents and wants to know the other staff people. That's why you hear so many people say the Mount is just one big family.
Well, that's different.
It is different.
As a person that just started working here, you walk in and you feel something.
I think it's a whole lot of love. There's an openness here and an open-mindedness here, an acceptance of people and who they are and what they believe. I can think about what other people might say, oh, it's religion and it's God's love and it's because there's this higher power here. And I honestly think the higher power is the acceptance to love everybody for who they are, not from where they come from, not from what they wear, or how much money they have, or what or who they believe in. It just is an acceptance of all people.
Well, it has been really a pleasure.
Well, I'm glad you got to interview me in the end.
Glad you liked it, because I sure did.
Yeah.